Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating question. It touches on two massive trends. How cutting-edge AI, specifically generative AI, how can it help small and medium-sized businesses, SMEs, expand globally and become greener? Sounds like a tall order, right?
hmm
But our source material for this deep dive has some, well, surprising insights.
It really does, yeah. We're drawing insights from a detailed study. It's in Technology and Society.
Hmm.
The authors are Xiaofeng Wang and Hao Zhang, and they focus on cross-border e-commerce SMEs in China specifically. Their goal is to really get under the hood of how GenAI impacts what they term internationalization, green innovation performance.
Right. And our mission for you listening is basically to extract the most important nuggets from that so you walk away feeling, properly informed and maybe a little surprised too. So let's start with the big picture. What did the study actually find about Gen AI and green innovation overall?
Well, what's fascinating here is that, yes, GenAI capability does directly influence a company's ability to innovate green practices globally.
Hmm.
But the study found its direct impact is actually um, pretty modest.
Modest. Huh. Okay. That seems unexpected for such a powerful tech.
It does. It suggests it's not a simple one-to-one relationship. Plug in GenAI, get green results. It's more complex.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting then. If that direct link is modest, how does Gen AI become this powerhouse for green innovation that people talk about?
That's the key question, isn't it? And the study points very clearly to a crucial mediating role. That role is played by supply chain innovation.
Supply chain innovation. Okay.
Yeah, and they look at two specific types within the supply chain. They call them exploratory and exploitative innovation.
Exploratory and exploitative. Okay, so what's the difference between those two, and how does Gen AI fit into each one?
All right, think of it this way. Exploratory innovation is about seeking out radically new knowledge. It's experimenting with totally novel approaches, maybe new ways to manage the flow of goods, information, finances.
Ah, okay, so not just tweaking things.
Exactly. For example, using GenAI to simulate, maybe evaluate, a much wider range of potential solutions. Some could be quite unconventional supply chain designs, or even using it to explore something like blockchain for better traceability, all aimed at finding new ways to shrink the environmental footprint.
So it's like using Gen AI to completely rethink how a global supply chain could work, maybe imagining completely new green technologies within that.
Precisely. It's about the big leaps, the new possibilities, and then exploitative innovation, on the other hand.
Yeah.
Well, that's about refining and improving the processes you already have.
Okay, optimizing the current setup?
Yes. Making more efficient, reducing costs. And here, GenAI can really shine. It helps by analyzing real-time data to find bottlenecks, maybe optimize inventory levels, fine-tune delivery routes for fuel efficiency, predict demand fluctuations better. All those things can lead to really significant cuts in waste in resource consumption.
That makes a lot of sense. So exploring the new and making the current stuff much greener and more efficient. So what did the study find then about Gen AI's influence on these two specific types? Does it favor one over the other?
Well, the findings here are actually quite strong and pretty clear. GenAI capability positively and significantly influences both supply chain exploratory innovation and supply chain exploitative innovation.
Both? Okay, that's important.
It is key because these two forms of supply chain innovation acting together are what really drive that internationalization, green innovation performance. It's the operational pathways,
Yeah.
through the supply chain. That's where GenAI really translates into greener outcomes.
So it's not just about having Gen AI tech sitting there, it's about how you strategically use it. Using it to make your supply chain smarter, more adaptive, more efficient, and that then unlocks the green innovation. That's a really important distinction for you, the listener, to grasp. But hang on, there was something else, wasn't there? An even more surprising finding, something about regulation.
Yes, this was definitely a major aha moment in the research. Conventional wisdom, or at least common assumption, might suggest that AI regulation would sort of hinder innovation,
Yeah.
slow things down.
Yeah, you'd think more rules equals less flexibility, less room to experiment.
Exactly. But this study found the opposite. AI regulation, it turns out, strengthens the positive relationship between GenAI capability and supply chain innovation. And that holds for both exploratory and exploitative innovation.
Wait, what? Regulation helps innovation? That seems totally counterintuitive. How does that work?
It is surprising, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, it implies that, well, maybe well-designed regulatory environments aren't just obstacles. They could actually foster more responsible, more robust AI systems.
Okay, so clear rules might lead to better AI.
Potentially. Systems developed under clear guidelines, maybe ethical ones too, might be more
Right.
trusted, more effective, and ultimately maybe even more innovative, especially areas like sustainability where trust and, ethical considerations are really paramount.
That makes sense. Especially for SMEs, maybe.
Yes, particularly for SMEs. They often face resource constraints, right? So clear regulations could provide a kind of framework, a roadmap. It helps ensure their Gen AI investments lead to tangible, sustainable results instead of just expensive experiments. So it's less about stifling, perhaps, and more about directing innovation in a positive way.
So putting it all together, what this study tells us, using that resource-based view, it's that Gen AI can be a truly valuable resource for these smaller businesses, helping them compete globally and meet environmental goals. And this seems particularly relevant in places like China, where you've got booming cross-border e-commerce and a government pushing for both green development and responsible AI. Wow, okay, what a dive that was. We've seen how Gen AI isn't just this direct magic wand for green innovation. Instead, it's a powerful catalyst. But it works through its impact on the supply chain, both exploring completely new frontiers and optimizing the paths already taken.
Exactly. And then there's that kicker about regulation.
Right. The kicker being that AI regulation, when it's thoughtfully applied, might actually accelerate this whole process rather than slowing it down, pushing companies maybe to build better, more robust, more ethical AI solutions from the start.
hmm This really highlights the potential, doesn't it, for responsible AI governance to genuinely foster sustainable practices around the world. It definitely challenges that old idea that innovation and regulation have to be enemies, and it makes us think differently about how technology, business practices, and policy all interact, in shaping how society transforms.
Absolutely. And that leaves a really important question for you, our listener, to maybe mull over. If well-considered AI regulations can unexpectedly boost innovation, where else might seemingly restrictive frameworks, if they're designed thoughtfully, of course, actually unlock surprising new pathways to innovation and sustainability in other emerging technologies? Something to think about.